Forgive the sunglasses, I'm a little out there for now. Not in a bad way though, just a little tired. When I think about claymation, I think about all the things that happened in my life that got me that far to actually be a creative individual. So, giving a solid example off the bat was my cartooning experience before claymation. And you guys keep remembering that after I mentioned the other video from Everyday 10, which is always the second of two videos. The first two videos was actually the Kickstarter of that channel with Everyday 10, which got me this far in the first place on the main channel. And I'm always mentioning the second video, which is about the vlogs. So more about the vlogs is just you know, I make them with my phone nowadays. The vlogs, I make the content for at least. But the claymation is really like why I started to be an animator. Why I started like being an actual cartoonist. Not just to fit in what my dad would say about my creativity. I denied being creative for a very long time. I didn't know how to go about it properly like I already did. So when it comes to claymation, I can actually teach it pretty well. As a skill set that I could teach it pretty well. I don't think most people in my position would just want to randomly be a philosopher unless proven otherwise. I think a lot to begin with, but I also think about what makes me a good person. So if I were to give a legitimate course on claymation starting with this video, I guess, it'd just be about like things that got me to be a better animator and not just the pursuit of making prop design, better sculpting and all that, like actually filming it. And the process of that alone does not start from 2010, unfortunately, or 2011. It starts about 2017, 2018, right about when I stopped using VidMe, but also a little bit after I started getting into YouTube again. So like 2019, really. So the beginning of 2019 all the way down to like what we have like the beginning of 2026, right? So we have all that time used up for what was at least 6 or 7 years of solid claymation, and I'm not entirely proud of how it went sometimes because I didn't even just always focus on being a creator. Obviously, I had a life to live, but I also did have to admit that I was pretty clever with how I used my time to begin with, in addition to things I cared about in the last 7 years. So there was win-win there. But the first thing I'll teach you about claymation is that the patience does help, but it's still very fast to make animation. It is very fast to make animation. People always brag about, especially in like 2D, in the realms of even 3D, they'll be like, well, it takes forever because it takes time to make. Of course it takes time to, everything takes time to build. So you don't want to be telling everyone, oh, it's going to take time to make because it's time making the animation. Okay. If you told AI that, it wouldn't believe you because it knows how to work with the animation you gave it before. So if it's easier to make, it's still a good animation. And if it's faster to make, you're like, okay, with effectiveness that doesn't have to be always be by capitalism, okay? We have to go that deep about it. But the animation you can make faster is still effective. And the animation you can make easier is still better for people who don't have to work with your comfort levels to begin with. So get it through your head that animation is not bad if it's easier or faster to produce. If it's actually out there, you can upload it faster. You can actually make the films quicker. They're not bad. So when I teach claymation like that, I'm not trying to throw away out the window what animation speeds are working with. I work with fast animation all the time. I actually knew how to make animation that was quick before, but I didn't know how to process it that much better anyways. When I'm not making animation, I'm not thinking about animation all the time, but neither am I thinking about anyone else in my life to begin with. So the other thing I'll say about claymation is that I have been really good about being creative in general in my life. Even things that have nothing to do with claymation, I still make them pretty well. That'll be a frown. Peace out.